Shemai and welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin Anwyn for anyone who's new here, and let's get back into building in Planet Zoo. And I'm still in the American Europe Zoo today, and I'm going to be doing a restaurant build. The booth chairs that we have for the restaurants inspired me to make a 50s retro diner, and I was really looking forward to building something like this because I love the 50s retro aesthetic. So I wanted to make another restaurant. I really enjoyed building my last restaurant, the modern mountaintop restaurant, and I'll put that in the iCards. I really liked building that, and I just wanted to make another one. And I'm going for like a futuristic retro feel with the metal walls, and I'm utilizing the panels for this one, and I absolutely love the fact that we have more panels now since the Europe Pack update. I don't really know whether these ones were panels beforehand, but there are definitely new panels, and I'm using the panels instead of the walls because I wanted the panels pattern to be horizontal instead of vertical. And I really like this metal as well because it's quite reflective and quite shiny. And when I actually started building this, I thought this would be like a fun quick bonus video that I could do for last week, and this actually took me longer than anything else in this whole zoo. Maybe one of my like longest builds, and that was probably partly because I built the majority of this with the panels instead of walls, and the panels just take longer to place. So what I am planning on doing, I'm not sure whether I'll stick to this, but I'm planning on splitting the video up into 2 different sections. So really we will be getting a bonus video this week because I'm going to be splitting this build up into 2 different parts, and I've tried to split it to where it would make sense, but this one I did not build in a orderly fashion. It was just kind of putting things in as I was thinking of them. I've tried to split this up as neatly as possible to have 2 decent videos that actually make sense separate and apart. Like that makes sense. Separate and together, but I have just too much footage to make one video, and it might be just nice to have a little bonus video this week anyway. And on this build, I wanted the entrance of the restaurant building to be quite close to where the guests would order their food, but that also meant that like this front part that I needed windows for would have that ugly wall pattern behind the windows. So I've used the one-way glass windows or glass panels. I wish they were a little bit more reflective so they would blend in a little bit with the restaurant, but at least they like kind of look like windows now. And I also really liked having that indent in the wall as well that I could make because I built all of this with panels, and it gave it a little bit more of a dimension because all of the walls, like the wall texture, is all that silver shiny metal. It's nice to have a little bit of a definition in between the windows and the walls. Of course, for a 50s diner, it needs to have like a red theme. I even found a shade of red called Vintage Red. I really like this red colour because it's like a slight orangey kind of red, and I kind of wanted to wear something red for these videos as well because I like to match my outfits in with my build, but I don't really own a lot of red clothes. I'm such a bad Welsh person. I don't wear a lot of red because I had bright pink hair for so long. The purple sort of goes with red a little bit more, but I haven't got a lot of red clothes for that. The only red clothes I really have are Welsh themed things. Like I've got a rugby top and a white top with the word Cwtch on it that I usually wear, one of those ones for St. David's Day. And I'm just really excited to use the neon lights as well. I'm using the neon lights on the windows to give a little bit more of an interesting part of the window, and to also add light as well. One of the reference images that I was looking at did have like these kind of stripes under the windows. I'm not sure whether the image actually had like lights on there or it was just some kind of decoration, but I liked using the neon lights, and the neon lights are going to be so good for the interior of this restaurant as well. And I'm not sure whether you actually need the paths on the flooring of the restaurant, but I've just put a plain path in by selecting align to grid for the moment anyway. Really like this style. It's not something that we would get in the UK very often. I don't think I've ever really seen a restaurant like this at all. We don't really get diners. I just know around here, if you were going to somewhere that was like a little less fancy, it would be more of a cafe rather than a diner, where you'd still get like fried food, more like a full English breakfast type of thing, but they're never really styled like this. Cafes are normally like small little quaint kind of buildings, maybe looks like a little bit like a British house or like a little cottage, or even just looks like a regular shop sort of thing. But you can see with the way that I've been playing around with this build, redoing the walls multiple times and trying to duplicate one side to the other, that I was really struggling with getting this symmetrical because of the extra fancy things that I was trying to add in. I just couldn't get it quite right. And it's so frustrating, but it's also kind of fun to show my thought process with making this. So you can see that I've tried a few different ways of doing the walls until I finally settled on something I liked. And I was thinking about, like, restaurants usually have a restroom in them, like a bathroom, and I thought I could maybe merge the bathroom in the restaurant building itself. That might be like a nice thing to add in, but at the moment it says that it's obstructed. But I thought it'd be a nice little added extra in this restaurant. Looking back at the footage now though, I really could not make my mind up with building this. There was just so many ideas and I was just so excited to build it that I just couldn't make my mind up of what I wanted to do, when, what I was doing, and I kept changing my mind with lots of different things. I decided I wanted another window open on this side. It's just a lot of playing around. Trying to make a door for this bathroom was such a pain in the ass as well. Everything was a pain, but I had so much fun. I guess you just don't mind so much then. If you're enjoying the build, it's just like, I don't mind if it's taking me time and it's being iffy and not doing what I want it to do. I liked making the doorway bigger using windows to make the doors look a little bit more extravagant, a little bit more fancy, but you might notice that I haven't built a roof for this, and I haven't got a back wall yet either. It's just a pain to build everything in Planet Zoo when it's closed off. So having it open like this without having the roof on, it makes it a lot easier to build inside the building. I did realise that where I'd placed this, it was kind of a little bit boring. There's not a lot going on around this area. You can sort of see the Christmas themed reindeer habitat from the one side, but there's just not a lot to look at other than the beautiful mountains. So I thought it might be fun next week to try and build a habitat around this restaurant. I might have done that if this one didn't take as long and if I actually decided what I wanted to do with this build quicker. But I did not, of course. I was very indecisive for this build. So that's going to be for next week instead, because I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. At least we're doing the back wall now. But it's coming together now. It does look a little bit odd because there's just nothing on the roof. But that's going to be like the last thing I'm going to build is the roof. That's just a tip for building any sorts of buildings. It doesn't have to be a restaurant like this, but a tip for building like shelters, if you want like a nice extravagant shelter for your animals. Build all of the walls and whatever you want on the interior and then put the roof on. And you'll notice that I've left the kitchen open as well. I kind of wanted the diner to have that sort of diner feel where guests can sit in those booths and still see into the kitchen. Like you can sort of imagine putting your orders in through the window there instead of where the guests will actually put their orders in. I really like all of like the shininess of everything. I'm like a magpie. I'm like, ooh. It's really nice. There's not a lot of pieces in Planet Zoo that are kind of shiny like that. And I'm just struggling with the front doors again. I want new doors. I always want more new things. I finally get something that I've been asking for a while, and then I'm just straight for something else new. But that's the fun thing about this game. The fun thing about recording on a Saturday night is people just wild. Seeing as we don't have any new doors, I've just got into... I swear my neighbours can hear me talking, so they just decide to be louder when I'm talking. Because if I'm sat in this room quietly building, nothing. But seeing as I can't get any doors that I want to fit that space, I can't get a door to look like how I want it to look, I'm just going to make my own. What is a 50s diner without a black and white checkerboard floor? There isn't a path for that, so I just thought I'd leave the path there just in case the guests do actually need them, and I thought I'd make my own checkerboard floor. This is just the bit that ties everything together other than the neon lights. This screams 50s diner to me. And I'm actually using the 1x1 plaster wall tiles in just black and white. The easiest way of doing it was doing 2 rows in the checkerboard style and then duplicating those 2 rows over so they were always lined up. And then if you just like select a big group of them, it's quicker just to duplicate it over. It's nowhere near done, but if you just have a quick glance at this, if you skim through the video and just seen this, you would know what I was making, and that is all you really need with a build. Really, you want to make sure that people see what you've done and actually understand. It's always good to like sort of explain what I'm doing at the same time, because otherwise I would just have music playing in the background of these videos. It'd be a lot easier for me if I just did a speed build with music. I wouldn't have to do all of this. I like sitting and chatting, telling you about bits about my life, what I was thinking while I was building. This is the only time I get dressed up and wear outside looking clothes and put makeup on, so this is the one day a week that I actually get proper done up, so I wouldn't want to just do videos with just music. This is my kind of fun as well. And I've brought out all of the new neon signs. Aren't these just perfect for a 50s diner? Like the booths, the neon signs, everything screamed to me to build a diner for my zoo with these new items. I love the Europe Park items. I think this one is definitely the best one for scenery items and for building. I think I've used the most things for lots of different reasons. I've used this semicircle curved window for the bathroom door because I was thinking of like Art Deco style, and I was thinking like with Art Deco there's a lot of like curved pieces, and I like the semicircle window above the bathroom so much that I thought I would put it on the front as well. I just needed to find something to cover the fire salamander on the semicircle window. I love these stained glass pieces, but I wish we had some plain versions and not just ones that had the animals on them. You're not always going to use these windows for habitats, and I really like the shape of this window, but a fire salamander has nothing to do with my Retro 50s diner. And you can see that the different shades of red from like the windows to the booth to the kitchen walls, like the restaurant kitchen walls, they're all technically the same color number, but because they're different textures and different materials, they are different shades of red. I don't really mind that. I like having more of a vivid, darker red for these interior walls than for the windows. I think the windows being a little lighter and a bit more orangey looks really nice against the silver. And I wanted to add in like some bar stools and a little bar area by the kitchen, because a lot of the reference photos that I was looking at had these like bar stools where you could sit and watch restaurant staff like make your food. So I thought I'd make a few stools. They're obviously not actually seating for the guests, but this is like a little bit of a thing just for show. I definitely made them too big when I first started. Luckily, my mum popped up at this point when I was making the stools and was just like, other stools for giants, look at the booth chairs. They would have to climb up them. Like literally climb up the stool to sit on it. I thought this was a nice place to finish off because the interior is pretty much done at this point, but I wanted to add in a few extra neon signs. I was thinking of like things that you would have in a diner, like milkshakes and ice creams, like kind of like fast foody sort of things. But I just think this looks great. If you just ignore the fact that you don't have a ceiling in this, I think this finishes it off really nicely. But I'm gonna leave it off there for now because I spent so long on this video. I am gonna split it up like I said and finish it off on Saturday, so you won't have to wait a whole week for this. There's going to be a bonus video this week. If you have any ideas for any other restaurants or any other builds for this American and European zoo, let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, smash that like button, and if you haven't already and you would like to, it would mean a lot to me if you could subscribe and hit the bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video. I upload on Wednesdays and sometimes a bonus Saturday video as well. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day and I will see you next time. Goodbye!